Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're going to be committing some automotive sacrilege. So let's get into the video. Okay, so for my 1990 Ford Bronco, I am building it into a relatively capable off-road camper type vehicle. And the purpose of this is to do, moderate trails, no heavy duty rock crawling, none of that kind of stuff. But mostly I want to be able to get it to places where most people can't get to, and then I want to be able to camp and enjoy the scenery and enjoy everything else while I'm up there. So this truck is getting a little bit of a facelift amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. It'll get some suspension and some other improvements to make it more capable. But one of the big things it needs is it needs to be comfortable to sleep in. That is crucial for a camper type vehicle. So I live in North Carolina. I travel throughout the southeastern United States quite a bit, and it gets hot down here. So one of the things I want is some kind of a fan system inside the truck so that when I'm sleeping, I can at least be somewhat comfortable in the summer months, and it'll help get condensation and other stuff out of the truck when I'm sleeping and everything else. So I decided to go with an RV style roof fan. These are meant for RV bathrooms, or you'll have multiple of them throughout an RV that will provide that same kind of circulation and cooling in that camper. The Bronco's not that big, so I don't need to have multiple of them, but I do want to have one of them sitting right above where the sleeping area is so that I have a comfortable place to sleep and to hang out at night. Alright, so for this project, I decided to go with a Maxx Air brand air fan. You can buy these on Amazon. They're some of the highest rated ones that you can get. It's got a remote that helps control it. It's got a rain sensor and all that other kind of stuff, which I think all of that really makes it a nice complete product. Now to do all this, and this is where the automotive sacrilege comes in, I'm going to have to cut a 14-inch square hole in the hardtop of my Bronco. And that is a perfectly good hardtop. And I'm going to cut a giant hole in the top of it. So I just went out to the Bronco and I marked it, measured it, got it perfectly centered so that this will fit in the center of the roof area, which is also the center of the sleeping area. So let's go cut a giant sunroof into this Bronco while we've got nice weather. Alright, so my weapon of choice for this hole cutting experience is going to just be my cordless angle grinder. The roof is made out of fiberglass or something, and it's not very thick. And I've got the most control over this than I do over a Sawzall. I could grab a jigsaw, I guess, and get up there and jig it out, but the circular saw, cordless angle grinder is going to work just fine with just a regular cutting disc on it. So let's climb on top of the roof of the truck and let's cut a hole in this thing. Okay, so one problem I can already see that I'm going to run into is RV roofs are going to obviously be thicker because they're going to have insulation panels and stuff like that in it, and the Bronco, the fiberglass hardtop, does not have that. So there's about 1/4 of an inch lip here on this backside of this, which is how this will attach normally, and normally you wouldn't be able to see that. And then you have your little vanity cover panel that would cover up all of the screws and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's going to work for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this, because this gets installed first, and then we will see what I'm going to have to do to kind of clean this up and make it look clean, understanding that the Bronco's roof is just extremely thin because that's just the way it is. Okay, so moving on to installing this little vent clip thing. This is what the actual fan is going to mount onto. So there are 4 metal clips on this. In the instructions it says these metal clips go towards the sides of the vehicle, so make sure you don't do front and rear. That's obviously so that when the fan mounts, it's mounted the right direction. If you had it flipped, so the metal clips are towards the front, then the fan's going to be sideways and it's going to look kind of goofy. So for this, you want the metal clips on the side and facing up, and then the thing just mounts down into there, and they include a few screws to mount it, which should go pretty easily, I think. Anyways, obviously sealing it is important, so because you don't want to have any water or anything else getting in from between these cracks. So the way I'm going to seal it, and the way I saw online a lot of people seal these for RVs, is you buy some butyl tape, which is the same kind of stuff you use on windshields. You buy a little bit of butyl tape, and it's going to run along this inner lip here, and then smush down, and when you drive the screws through it, that's going to make basically a weather-tight seal. After that, then you come through with some RV sealant. So this is specifically meant for RVs, it's specifically meant for roof vents and stuff like that. It's a EFMP. It's some kind of RV specific sealant. I don't actually know what it's made of, but you can buy it. It's self-leveling. It's nice, I guess. So anyways, we're gonna go clean off the top of the roof. I'm gonna just clean it off with some acetone, let that dry, and then we're gonna put the butyl tape on this, and then go sandwich it on top of that and drive some screws through it. So let's clean that off and get the butyl tape installed. Alright, so I forgot to say it earlier when I was putting down the tape, but when you're putting down butyl tape, you don't want to stretch it super thin because you want it to fit into everything. So if you stretch it really thin, then you're effectively going to have less material to squish and to make the seal. So you don't want to stretch it super thin, just kind of lay it down kind of the way it comes. You can wrap it around corners, it's relatively flexible. I cut it into a couple of pieces to make it just easier to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But so I got that done, I got the thing installed. As expected, the screws that come with this are too long and the Bronco's roof is too thin. So I'm gonna go through and with the angle grinder come through and just cut the ends off of all of those screws. Not ideal, obviously, but I want the vanity plate to fit flush. So right now those screws stick out by about 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna try to use a pair of snips, and if that's not strong enough, then I'll come through with the angle grinder and I'll just cut all those screw heads off. It won't take very long. So let me go ahead and do that real quick, and then we can get the interior piece done and then do the sealant. Alright, so this is how this looks like from the top. As you can see, it's pretty clean looking, truthfully. It is centered with the line of the truck and centered with the back of the half cab, or with the hardtop here. And then coming onto the inside, it is a mess from all that cutting, and it's kind of dark in here, but you can see that there's just that little lip there, so easy enough. Sorry, it's really dark inside. I realize it's really dark inside the truck and that you guys probably didn't see a single thing in there. But take my word for it, all those screws are now cut. They are flush now mounted, and it's still tight, which is good. So now to put the inside in. Alright, so this is the inner piece. As you can see, it's got just 4 screw holes in it. That way it just mounts a little bit cleaner. You don't have quite as much stuff. They include 4 white head painted screws, so I'll use those to mount this. But the one thing you've got to do to this before installing this is go through and trim it down to size. So this is obviously meant for a variety of RVs. Some RVs have more insulation than others, thicker roofs than others, etc., etc. So for my application, I pushed it in there, and then I marked the 4 corners, which is how they recommend in the instructions in case you've got a slope or anything. And now I'm just going to draw a level between all of them, and then I'm going to cut it. I don't know what I'll use yet. Might be the angle grinder again. So anyways, let's mark this and cut this down, and then we can get this trim piece installed. I think I will probably also do butyl tape on the inside of this, just as an extra, layer of security, of adhesive, and also of waterproofing. So I'll probably put some butyl tape into this because I've got plenty of it. So let's cut this down, put the butyl tape on it, and then install it in the truck. so we've got the inner rim and we've got the upper part all installed and all finish and flush inside the cab of the truck there. So it still doesn't fit perfectly, just because that little bit of plastic from the upper trim piece, that does stick out by about a 1/4 inch. So there's about a 1/4 inch gap around the inner varnish ring or garnish ring. I don't know what I'm gonna do to fix that. I might just put like some sealant or maybe some like expanding foam type stuff in there just to fill that gap and close it up a little bit. I might 3D print another ring to just wrap around it. I haven't really decided yet. That's gonna be a future me problem, so I'll figure out how I'm gonna clean all that up in the future. Anyways, it's time to actually mount the fan. So I'm not gonna get to any of the wiring in this video because I'm gonna be doing my own completely separate secondary electrical system for this truck. However, if you were just installing this and you wanted it to run off of the main truck battery, there's not that many wires. It's literally 2. It's a positive and a ground, positive battery and a ground, and that's it. So that's all it takes. This is obviously the bottom of the fan there. It's got a nice little mesh screen. And then this is your intake and your exhaust area. So when you mount this, you want this to be towards the rear of the vehicle. So I'm gonna put this longer portion towards the rear of the truck, and then this is gonna center up inside of the thing. Those metal clips have some tap screw holes in it, and there's 4 little number 10 screws, and that's all it takes to secure this together. So let's get this up on the truck and get it installed. So we're nearly done with this installation. The whole fan and everything is already installed, and truthfully that was really easy. It took me like an hour. I guess if you were like ripping it off of an old RV and you had to clean up all of the old sealant, that probably would have taken a lot longer, but this was pretty easy on the top of the Bronco there, and it's pretty low profile. I'll show you guys here in a second. We've got one last thing to install, and this is, I mean, you don't have to install it, I guess, if you don't want to, but this particular model comes with a remote that allows you to control the fan, so you don't have to get up and change it or anything like that. And it comes with a little mounting bracket and a couple of screws. Fortunately, I've got these nice thick wooden sidewalls here. So what I'm gonna do is just mount this on one of the sidewalls. Now, I don't want it in the back of the truck because I think I'm gonna have a lot of space back here that's gonna be taken up by other things that I want quicker access to when I'm outside of the truck. So something like this, which I'm only gonna use when I'm inside the truck, I'm gonna probably just screw it probably right onto the door panel behind my seat on the driver's side. So gonna screw this in real quick, and then we got to clean out the truck because I got dirt and dust all over the inside of it, and so I'm gonna blow it out here in a second. But first off, let's install our little mount real quick. I'm not gonna measure anything. I'm just gonna drill it in, measure with the heart. So let's get this out real quick. All right, all done. Let me show you guys what the whole thing looks like. All right, so up here you can see what the vent looks like in its closed position. As you can see, as you saw earlier when I was installing it, when it's in its open position, which allows the circulation of the air, it is substantially taller, but that should only be used when, I mean, truthfully, you're stationary. So at least now, when you're like driving around and stuff, it'll be nice and low profile. And there's Brittany exploring, checking out the truck. Brittany. Good girl, Brittany. All right, And it's going to be way too dark for you to really see anything in here, but you can kind of make out that's what the fan looks like in there. I've got the wires just hanging loose until I design the secondary electrical system, and the remote is up there right behind the driver's seat. So pretty straightforward installation, and I think it looks pretty good, especially with the black roof there, or the black vent there. It matches like my side steps, and it'll match the roof rack and a few other things that can get built on this truck here pretty soon. But anyways, guys, that is installing a Maxx Air RV vent fan on top of a Bronco hardtop. Alright, so a relatively straightforward video. I was originally not going to do a solo video just on this topic, but I searched YouTube and I didn't see very many people that have installed these things to begin with, and then also I couldn't find anything that was specifically for like a camper truck like this. So if this is something that you're interested in, hopefully this video was helpful. If you're looking at adding a vent fan to the back of your camper, this would work on, you know, full-size pickup trucks with like a Lear type cap on it, and a whole bunch of anything else, pretty much literally whatever you want to put these onto. It's a 2-wire installation, which is pretty straightforward, and installing it on top of the truck is relatively easy as well after you cut the opening. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Next week, I do have to make a roof rack. So I wanted that fan installed first so that when I go through to make the roof rack, I can make the roof rack clear around where the fan is. So I needed the fan installed first because I needed its exact dimensions. So we got that done. And now next I can build a roof rack and maybe a little ladder to get up to it so that you don't have to like climb up on the tires and stuff to get to the top of the truck. But anyways, a pretty simple, quick little project. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.